fly ball, left field is deep. It's way back. The Tigers are going to the World Series.
Hello, everyone, and welcome inside another episode of The Wrap-Up. I'm your host, Nick Buckler. With me, as always, sports blogger Dan Myers. Dan, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
We got a lot to cover this week. Playoff hockey started this past week for your Detroit Red Wings. They were hosting, well, they weren't hosting. They were in Tampa Bay. Tampa was hosting the Detroit Red Wings. But first, we got the Detroit Tigers. Best record in the Major League Baseball.
Absolutely, at 10-2 with the pitching being as strong as they are. It's exciting. These guys are really proving themselves, even though we might have had a couple of hiccups early on in the preseason, but it's looking good.
Right now, the only two losses of the year came with the pitcher Anibal Sanchez on the mound. What do you think that's all about?
You know, it's still early. I know it's really easy to get excited right now with the 10-2 record, but it's still early on in the season, and maybe he's just working out some kinks that he's got to get used to. But other than that, it's looking pretty good as far as, the other pitchers, especially Shane Green.
People are quick to pull the trigger to bench a guy or maybe give Lobstein more work when Anibal Sanchez is struggling. They lose 12-3 to the White Sox Saturday at home. He didn't survive the fourth inning. But Shane Green, he's been a bright spot all season. Gave up his first earned run of the year on Sunday en route to a 9-1 victory against the Chicago White Sox. His ERA is .39 right now.
That's incredible. Yes, what, 3-0 right now?
3-0.
And he is, what a hidden gem that we got from the Yankees. Thank you very much, guys. It was a little scary when we got rid of Max Scherzer last year. A lot of Tigers fans were not too secure with their pitching staff, and it's looking very good right now. I'm really excited. We got a lot of promise and potential.
Let's go back to that Pittsburgh series for a second. They lose the opener, Pittsburgh's opening day, 5-4. They were down 5-1. They put up 3 runs in the ninth inning, including a J.D. Martinez home run. Then Nick Castellanos comes up, hits into a double play, really to end the rally that we had. Castellanos has been struggling all year at the plate. What's this all about?
It's still early on. It's one thing to be playing in the minor, or not the minors, the preseason down in Florida and stuff like that. Spring training, yes. Yeah. And it's a whole different ball game once you get to the actual season. So just working out some flaws, some kinks. They're a little nervous. It's looking promising though.
I've always been a fan of Castellanos when other people have maybe wanted more of a defensive guy like a Don Kelly or somebody along those lines. They loved Brandon Inch here, even though he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. I like Castellanos. He hit .263 last year as a rookie with power. I believe he had 9 or 10 home runs. I really like the guy. His defense could use work, but I don't understand why they always bring in guys as defensive replacements for him. I think that's when you learn. Romine coming in, don't get me wrong, Romine's a slick fielder. Castellanos needs to be in those situations.
Absolutely, yep. With strong arm that he's got also. Very defensive player, and he gives some security to the defensive side.
Next 2 games in Pittsburgh, 2-0 win on Tuesday night. Great pitching performance. That one was Shane Green.
Yep. Shane
Green, he went 8 innings. He could have gone 9. But with the whole bad pitchers batting in the National League and a close game still, it was 1-0 at the time. They ended up adding one in the top half of the 9th inning against the closer, Melanson, I believe. Shane Green's been great. We already touched on that. But then coming back Wednesday, Alfredo Simon, he also goes 8 innings. 1-0 win on a Rajai Davis solo home run. Rajai's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Start.
Yes. Yeah. He's a character to watch too. Whether he's on the bench, post game interviews, he's a lot of fun to watch. It was a great pitching battle too between Alfredo Simon and Francisco Liriano. That's 2 pretty popular names, especially with Liriano. So you see those 2 going back and forth with each other. It's pretty great.
It was. It really was. Tigers come home, play Chicago White Sox. White Sox could have been a favorite to win the division if the Tigers weren't. They opened with a 2-1 win on Friday night in front of the home crowd. Another tight pitched battle. This time, it was David Price.
Yep. Yes, it was. And it was very exciting to be there. To watch them win, it was a solid, close game. But it was that walk-off was great.
It was Iglesias with that. It was a walk-off base hit.
Yep.
Always good to get a walk-off win. We go back to Saturday, not so good. They get shelled for 12. Anibal Sanchez again on the mound. 12-3, they drop this one. JD Martinez hits another home run in that game. It just landed, I think, yesterday. It was what they would call a missile out of here. We're not going to touch too much on that game. Let's not get excited about the loss. Sunday, 9-1, big win. Again, Shane Green only allowed 1 earned run in 7+ innings of work. .39 ERA to start the season. Yoenis Cespedes had a monster game. Grand slam in the first inning, 6 RBIs. He added another home run later. Great pickup, great trade. I really like the trade from Boston. Sure, we gave up Rick Porcello. I've always been a fan of Porcello, even since he was drafted in 2006, I believe.
Yes.
I like the guy. I really like Yoenis Cespedes. Great pickup for the Tigers.
Absolutely. You got to give David Dombrowski some credit. There was some real back talk with whether you listen to radio stations or on forums, social media. But it was a great deal that he pulled off, and you just gotta pat him on the back. That was a great job. Cespedes, grand slam. We had 4 runs in that first inning, and comparing to Rick Porcello, what he's what's going on in Boston right now, I think we got the best end of that deal. As much as I'm going to miss him, but
he's a great outfielder as well. He's got one of the strongest arms in baseball. He robbed the home run on opening day. He covers a lot of ground for being a big guy. He can beat out maybe some infield singles here and there. He's a hustle kind of guy. I think it was a great pickup for the Tigers. Yankees coming to town this week. CC Sabathia versus Alfredo Simon on Monday. That's going to be a good matchup. He's at over 5 ERA. He's struggling, but he's still CC Sabathia, like I said. Always got to be tough. Righties are hitting him, though. .341 batting average. Tigers are stacked with right-handed batting.
Yes, they are.
Goes will probably get the day off. They'll go with Rajai Davis in center. James McCann will probably get the start behind the dish. Avila struggles to hit lefties. I think the Tigers could do well against the Yankees here and maybe improve their record to 13-2.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I'm more confident with our batting than I am against CC Sabathia's pitching. He's still rusty, but he does look confident, so we will have to look out for that. And another person we're going to have to look out for is A-Rod.
He's been hitting the cover off the ball. 4 home runs leads the team. .316 batting average leads the team. He leads the team in all categories. 11 RBIs, on-base percentage, slugging percentage. Sure, maybe he injected steroids. He's apologized. People aren't going to forgive him. If you watch SportsCenter, A-Rod is up to bat on the bottom of the screen. Listen, it's not Barry Bonds. It's A-Rod. I think A-Rod's a better player than Barry Bonds, but he's not close to breaking any records yet. It's the beginning of the year. We understand he's a professional baseball player. He's going to get base hits. It's part of the game. They don't need to tell us about that. I think A-Rod could do some damage, though. He always has been a good player at Comerica Park.
Absolutely, yes. He's definitely someone to watch out for. He's got a lot to make up to his fans. He's got a lot to make up to the MLB, so look out for him.
Exactly. New York's one of the toughest places to play. They're very hard on their fans there. They don't like A-Rod, plain and simple, so he's going to have to earn their trust back.
Absolutely, one of the hardest sports towns to play in, and he knows that, and I think he's looking to redeem himself over in New York, so we'll see how that goes.
Enough baseball talk. It's playoff hockey season.
Yes.
Detroit Red Wings are in the playoffs. 1-1 series right now through 2 games. Coming back home Tuesday night, they'll take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's go back to Game 1 for a minute, Dan. 3-2 win. They got dominated, if you ask me. Peter Mrazek kept them in that game. Some weren't sure who was going to start, whether it was going to be Mrazek or Jimmy Howard, the veteran, the rookie. Jimmy Howard's still young, 29, I believe. He might have just turned 30. Mm-hmm. So he's still a young veteran, is what they would say. But Mrazek, 23 years old, starts his first playoff game ever in Tampa Bay, opponent territory, 44 of a possible 46 saves. Let's talk about that.
That was a scary game. It was. The first goal with Pavel Datsyuk with that incredible tip from the Kyle Quincy shot.
Kyle Quincy let one go from the point. When that was our first shot of the game, Datsyuk tips it right through the wickets of Ben Bishop.
Yep, absolutely.
And that was a great start. Got the boys rolling, so to speak.
Yeah, it did. And but right after that, Brian Boyle takes advantage of that turnover by Zetlitsky and just makes an incredible play. That deke was not really necessarily what you see from a guy with his size, but he did it, and that's something to be worried about. When guys that size are making dekes or getting past defensemen and your goalie like that, you really got to go back to the drawing board, reevaluate what's going on. It was a little nerve-wracking to see someone like that be able to pull off a trick like that. So it's a little scary. We did sneak away with a win, which is great.
We'll talk more about the defensive struggles when we break down Game 2, because there was a lot of those in Game 2. Let's go back to the goal by Luke Glendening, though, the game-winning goal. Spinorama, shorthanded, right through the legs of Ben Bishop. Luke Glendening just continues to produce. He's a fourth-line guy. He gets time on the PK. He grinds it out. Luke Glendening's he could be the next Draper.
Absolutely. That's exciting to see, and that's what you need. Let's go back to 97 with our strong fourth line was beating out all those other fourth lines with the Grand Line.
Yep.
That's what you need if you want to go far and go for a cup run, a cup challenge, and that's exciting to see from a fourth liner like Luke Glendening to pull off a pretty amazing goal like that, getting past Bishop.
And not to mention the power play goal 8 seconds into the second period by the magic man himself, Pavel Datsyuk. He goes bar down on a shot, Yurko with the screen in front. Absolutely incredible. He's built for postseason. He's been our most physical guy, Pavel Datsyuk. That's why I love playoff hockey. The guys who normally aren't physical are coming through banging bodies. You even see guys like Joachim Anderson and Drew Miller, Zetterberg, all these guys that don't hit during the regular season. Yurko is using his size. It's playoff hockey. Everyone's going to hit the body if they can. It's great to see.
Absolutely, yes. They are just throwing their bodies around. It is do anything and everything in order to keep a W on the board.
Exactly. Now let's go ahead to Saturday, Game 2. Maybe one we won't want to talk about, but we have to. It happened.
Yes, it did.
I thought the Red Wings offense played better.
They did.
Defense, not so much.
No, not.
I don't even know if they showed up.
I think that hit 2.5 minutes in on Datsyuk by Brian Boyle really set the pace of the game. We were feeling pretty good after that, stealing that first win. I just feel like it's all went downhill from there. Definitely upset the pace of the game, and it showed.
I'm trying to figure out why we came away shorthanded after that. Quincy and Stamkos were squaring off. DeKaiser and I believe it was Andre Palat were squaring off. There was nothing that should have said we should have gotten the extra 2. Tyler Johnson goes in to score the first goal of the game on the power play. Peter Mrazek, no chance. On a snipe shot, top corner, no chance whatsoever. Peter Mrazek didn't have much of a chance all game long. Defense hung him out to dry. The second goal was the only one maybe I would say he had a chance on. But then again, you have a guy right in front of the crease. Defense nowhere in sight. Mrazek makes the first 2 saves, then he sneaks it in next to the post. Maybe he should add his skate up against the post. But really, you can't blame him. There was no defense. Maybe one shot, but where's the D to clear the guy out of there, get the puck at least to the corner behind the net? Third goal, we all know how that one was. Marchenko gets caught. Susher, the defenseman, comes in, gets the shot. No chance. By the time Mrazek reacted, puck was already coming out of the back of the net. Fourth goal, Tyler Johnson again on a breakaway, on a meltdown. Defense got caught, and Danny DeKaiser falls down on that.
Tripped over that, and
Blue Line came out of nowhere and took his feet
They
out.
tend to do that, especially when you have a bad streak going on like that with that game. The big problem was, I don't know, watching, personally for me, when I was watching it, it felt like that we were shorthanded when we actually weren't. We were full strength. Whether it was just hiccups in the play or just bad luck. It just felt like nobody was covering their guys, and that needs to change going into Detroit for Game 3. It's very upsetting, but we stole one on the road. Granted, it wasn't pretty. We didn't do it in the best style, but we stole one, and that was important if you want to beat this Tampa Bay Lightning team, one of the best teams on the road. And we had to steal one, and now here's our chance to turn things around.
Here's our chance. We are one of the better road teams in the league. Tampa, not so much. They have the lowest amount of road wins all season long. Coming into the Joe, where it's a tough place to play, the crowd's going to be absolutely bonkers. They're just giving away student rush tickets right now, basically giving them away. $25 to sit in the upper bowl, $65 to sit in the lower bowl. It's going to be fun. Get the hyped up crowd. They're going to be behind the boys. It's going to be great. You're not going to see many Tampa fans like you did down in Florida when the Wings fans, they travel everywhere. You get a lot of transplants in Florida. You get transplants in Arizona. Wings fans are everywhere. Tampa, not so much, although they have the most potent offense in the National Hockey League. I think we can shut them down at home. We're a different team.
Absolutely, yep. And Joe Louis Arena is a hostile environment for any visiting teams. It's not the best all the time, but when we need The fans will show up. They're there. And I actually looked at a stat as far as historically teams who start off on the road in the series who win the first game, 123 of them win the series, 96 of them lost. So the odds are in the Wings' favor as far as winning that first game on the road. So that's something exciting. Numbers, okay, but it's a little more security for any nervous Red Wing fan out there.
I hate to burst your bubble, Dan. Last year, we steal one in Boston, 1-0. Pavel Datsyuk gets the goal. That was one that Jimmy Howard, frankly, stole for the Detroit Red Wings. Lose 4 straight after that. Then Jimmy Howard comes out and says he was hurt. Gustafsson gets in, plays well. They lose in overtime. Let's hope it's different. I think they're going to be different this year. I think it's a better hockey team this year with the young talent, Tatar, Nyquist, Sheahan. They get Justin Abdelkader back for Game 3.
Yes.
That's a huge net front presence to have. He scored 23 goals this year, 21 assists. He was one of the plus Red Wings on the team. He had a great year.
Absolutely. And, we're going to need a strong presence. We're going to need that enforcer who likes to muck and grind but also can put, points on the board, especially when you got guys like, Brian Boyle. This huge team. They need someone out there like Justin Abdelkader. So hopefully he's feeling better. He's feeling mentally strong, physically strong, and we're going to need him to show up also. Definitely.
He did. He led the team in penalty minutes this year. He would fight, stick up for a teammate. He had 72 penalty minutes. We need a guy like him in the playoffs to protect our guys like our Datsyuks and our Zetterbergs and even our young guys like our Nyquists and our Tatars. Datsyuk, I think, you like to protect him, but he's been physical all playoffs long. But I hear they are going to split up Pavel Datsyuk and Henrik Zetterberg now that Abdelkader is back. I believe Abdelkader is going to be playing with Nyquist and Henrik Zetterberg, where they're going to reunite Tatar, Helm, and Pavel Datsyuk. And then maybe get a Sheahan to center the third line with a Stephen Weiss and maybe a Joachim Anderson. Go back down to the fourth. You got to keep Glendening and Miller together. And I've really liked the play of Landon Ferraro these first couple games.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's shown up. And boy, do I feel old seeing Landon Ferraro. I remember watching his dad. So,
Ray
Ferraro. So when his son's starting in the league, I'm like, oh my gosh, how old am I again? So
let's turn back time. Yeah, I was still in pull-ups back when Ray Ferraro was skating around. Maybe you not so much.
Yeah, I don't think I was. We won't go into that though.
We're not going to go into that, but we are going to go into the veteran leadership of the Detroit Red Wings. Maybe the best leadership in the game, all the way up from owners. The ownership, Mike and Marian Ilitch. Although they've basically passed the torch on to their son, still Mike's very involved. He goes to almost all the home games. Now the playoffs are here, he's going to be there. Kenny Holland to the scouts. They get these guys. Jonathan Ericsson was the last overall pick in a draft. Pavel Datsyuk was 176 overall. Zetterberg was over 200. It's the scouting. They just find these guys.
Absolutely. And the best thing that these guys could do to thank them is to show up, be strong, show that they belong here, which they do. They have. And I'm not discrediting them for that, but especially with Mr. I getting a little older, you got to play every game as strong as you can, especially for someone you owe so much to as far as Mr. and Mrs. Ilitch. Absolutely.
I know you don't really like the goaltending controversy, but I'm bringing it up. The Wings make a run with Peter Mrazek. They go to the conference finals, maybe the cup final. They ride Peter Mrazek. What happens in the offseason? Here's the scenario I'm drawing up. I just gave it to you. Peter Mrazek, Gustafsson next year. Trade Jimmy Howard. I think he's a very valuable piece to most teams, and they could get some big things for him. Maybe package up somebody with them like a prospect, and you could move a top-line guy like look to Tampa or Toronto for that matter. I know they're still trying to move some pieces like a Phil Kessel or a James Van Riemsdyk, maybe even a Dion Phaneuf on the back end. I know that they were talking about trading him. I know they wanted Brendan Smith too, which at this point, take him for free as far as I'm concerned. But I would move Howard and go with Gustafsson. He's a very serviceable backup goaltender when he's healthy. I know he's been battling injuries this year, but I like the kid. You got to go with Mrazek, ride him. He's the hot goalie. And right now, the confidence for Jimmy Howard just not there.
Absolutely, and I'm right on board with you. I like Jimmy, great person, but he's still got value. We've got two younger goalies that are ready to go. I feel more confident in Mrazek. And let's get rid of Jimmy and maybe a package deal with a couple other players. Maybe get a big guy like Brian Boyle, steal them away from him, or Dion Phaneuf or Phil Kessel. Try and get somebody that can we're set on the goalie situation, trying to get somebody that can throw some weight around, protect our smaller guys, our leaders, Pavel Datsyuk, our Henrik Zetterberg. Justin Abdelkader really doesn't want to do it that much. I mean, he doesn't want to have to do it. So if we can get someone big like a Phil Kessel, even a Deanne Phaneuf or a Brian Boyle, let's do it. Pull the trigger. I'm all on board.
I agree. I'd like to add another scorer, but as well, get a big guy, maybe a defenseman. We all know that the defense has been brutal. Do you expect to see Brendan Smith in Game 3 or 4? Marchenko struggled. As much as I like to have 2 right-handed shots on D with Marek Zalitsky and Alexei Marchenko, the Russian defenseman. He's played good this season, but Games 1 and 2 really struggle. But Brendan Smith has struggled too. I don't know what Babcock does. I think he might keep it the same.
I think that's a great idea. I think Brendan Smith struggles more so, even in the season, and there's more potential with those other guys. So definitely keep him out. Not opposed to him doing that at all. So I think that's a great idea if he does continue to keep him benched.
There is a lot of bright spots in the minors, defense purpose. Maybe not so much a Lashoff anymore. He's been given his chance. I say you cut ties with him. But a guy I really like down there is Ryan Sproul. He's a right-handed shot. He mucks it up. He hits guys. He fights. He even can score goals. And I really like him. I would expect to see him maybe wearing a winged wheel next year.
Hopefully, yeah. That Grand Rapids team is amazing right now. They're just running that league, especially with Anthony Matha. I mean, we've just so much more to be excited about with that team. You can't get tickets or you can't afford tickets to these playoff games. It's all right. Go to the Grand Rapids Griffins because essentially you're going to be seeing them pretty soon also. So it's very promising to see them.
A guy who came from Grand Rapids, Timu Pulkkinen. He hasn't really played actually at all in the postseason. Babcock said maybe he's too small. He get pushed around a little bit. They're going with the size and maybe the more defensive forward, Landon Ferraro, which I was not so keen on him when he came up, but these first 2 playoff games, Landon Ferraro has been absolutely incredible. He's been one of the faster guys. He's been a bright spot at least in the 5-1 loss.
Absolutely, and I think he knows that with all that potential down in Grand Rapids, you're going to have to prove yourself every second you're on the ice. You're always being scrutinized, so absolutely, they're going to have to definitely. He's doing a great job, and I think he knows that he's got that position to lose, and I think he's been pretty lights out so far.
Another thing that I don't want to talk about but have to is the future of Mike Babcock, one of the best coaches in the league, if not the best.
Absolutely.
His contract is up after this year. Haven't really talked to him much about extending it as far as the team. Toronto's job just opened up. He's from the area. He's a Canadian savior, leading them to 2 gold medals. Shanahan now taking over basically as the GM there. They fired the GM. I think he's just going to take over. And they're rebuilding. Look for maybe him to take Sidney Crosby with him. Just think about that. Crosby, Babcock, with Phil Kessel and James Van Riemsdyk. Toronto could really turn the ship around, and it could start with the best coach in the league. I know we have Jeff Blashill down in Grand Rapids, and a lot of people are high on him, but I don't know how I feel. I know he's turned that program, the Grand Rapids Griffins program, around a lot down there. But if we get a chance, I would pay Babcock more than any other team just to give him what he wants. I think he's the best coach out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think on paper, he could quite well possibly be gone. But if you actually, just pay attention, whether you listen to him on the radio or he's doing interviews, he likes being here. His family likes being here. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. He's got his real relationship. He really does. I feel that he does sincerely love Detroit. He loves the organization. He pretty much runs it to a certain point. But I don't think we really have to worry about him leaving. That'd be a very interesting scenario should he go to Toronto and pick up the talent that you were talking about. But I'm not worried about it. I think he's going to stay. I think he's happy here, and he's not looking for a paycheck either. So he's very well comfortable. That's personally how I feel. Not everyone feels the same way, but I'm not worried whatsoever for him going anywhere.
Mike Babcock is a guy who's about winning. Right now, Toronto, they're a franchise in turmoil. He would have to bring people with him in order to get the job done quick. It would be a losing season, I think, at first, unless he brought a guy like a Crosby over. I know Chicago's not going to be able to keep all their guys. Maybe if they bring a guy like Taves over, Patrick Sharp, a big Canadian guy, to really turn that program around. But
he's done a lot of rebuilding here, and I really don't think he wants to do that again. He had to deal enough with it, losing Nick Lidstrom as a captain and stuff like that. So it was it was nice. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think he doesn't want to really rebuild like that.
One thing I'm going to touch on before we decide to call it a day, playoff preview or prediction. I got the Wings beating Tampa Bay. I don't know about you.
I'm still on the fence with that, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. I think they do have to turn a lot around. Ask me again after Game 3. I'll see what we can do at home. I'm excited to see how it goes, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, Nick.
A lot of work to be
I haven't
done.
drank the Kool-Aid yet.
A lot of work to be done. We'll touch on that next edition of the wrap-up, and we'll give you a full breakdown of the playoffs and the Tigers week, and maybe a draft preview for your Detroit Football Lions. For Dan Myers, I'm your host, Nick Buckler. Have a great night.